Jamila Woods stood in her hotel manager's office, reviewing the day's schedule with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd built an empire from ambition and necessity. At 39, she'd transformed a struggling boutique property into the city's most sought-after intimate luxury hotel. She smoothed down the front of her emerald silk blouse, checking her reflection in the antique mirror. A carefully constructed professional armor, she would need it today. The Holloway Industries corporate retreat was scheduled to begin in 2 hours. Benjamin Cole, her ex-husband, the man she'd loved desperately and lost gradually, would walk through her doors for the first time in 4 years. She'd prepared for this. What she hadn't prepared for was her sister Rachel's frantic phone call 15 minutes ago about a preschool plumbing emergency. The triplets were coming to the hotel. That promise of containment lasted exactly 43 minutes. Jamila was greeting early arrivals when she heard it, her children's laughter echoing from the marble corridor. Her heart seized. She turned toward the sound just as the main entrance doors swung open and Benjamin Cole stepped into her hotel. Time slowed and accelerated simultaneously. Benjamin, dressed in a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, froze mid-step. Their eyes met across the lobby, his eyes still that impossible shade of green, and for one suspended moment, she saw recognition. Mommy! 3 identical voices shattered the moment. Jamila turned to see Elijah, Maya, and Jordan bursting through the office corridor, Rachel chasing behind with apologetic panic. The 4-year-olds burst forward, drawn by their mother's voice. Jamila dropped to one knee automatically, catching Jordan as he launched himself into her arms, while Maya and Elijah pressed close. "Hey, babies, what are you doing out here?" "Aunt Rachel said there was a fountain," Maya announced. "Can we see it, Mommy? Please?" Jamila didn't need to look up to know Benjamin was staring. She could feel the weight of his gaze, but when she finally raised her eyes, she watched something she'd never forgotten, the way Benjamin's face looked when his entire world shifted. He stood utterly still, his briefcase slipping from nerveless fingers to hit the marble floor. His eyes moved from her face to the children, cataloging, processing, calculating. Elijah turned to look at the noise source, and Jamila watched Benjamin's face drain of color. Her son had his father's eyes. Exactly. The same unusual green, the same distinctive shape. Jordan had his auburn hair, that shade neither parent possessed, and Maya had his smile, complete with dimples. Anyone with eyes could see the truth. "Jamila." Benjamin's voice came out rough. He took some steps closer. "Those are... how old are they?" Rachel reached them, hands fluttering. "I'm so sorry, Mila." "It's fine. Rachel, take the children back to the office, please." "No," Jordan protested. "The fountain." "Later, baby. Aunt Rachel has snacks." The magic word worked. Rachel ushered the children away, though Elijah looked back once more, his gaze landing on Benjamin curiously. The lobby had gone silent. Jamila made the decision quickly. "Mr. Holloway, welcome to the Ashford Grand. Your team's conference rooms are ready on the 3rd floor." She gestured to her staff. "Margaret, if you'll follow David, he'll take care of everything." The group moved toward elevators, casting curious glances at their frozen CEO. When they disappeared, Jamila walked toward her office without waiting. Benjamin followed. She closed the door with a quiet click, then moved behind her desk before turning to face him. He looked struck. All his polished composure had evaporated. "Tell me I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing." "You are." Jamila kept her voice level. "Those are my children, Elijah, Maya, and Jordan. They turned 4 3 months ago." She watched him do the math, watched comprehension hit, and Benjamin staggered backward until he hit the door. His hand covered his mouth, eyes squeezing shut. When he opened them, they were bright with fury and anguish. "You were pregnant." His voice shook. "When we signed the divorce papers, you let me walk away. You were carrying my children and you didn't tell me." "I wasn't pregnant then." Jamila forced herself to maintain eye contact. "I found out 3 months after our separation finalized, after you'd moved in with Vanessa, after I'd seen the announcement that she was expecting." Benjamin flinched. "That doesn't... you should have..." He couldn't finish sentences. "I had a right to know." "Are they yours?" The words came sharp. "When did you become their father? When I was nauseated and terrified, going through the first trimester alone, when I discovered they were triplets and the doctors labeled it high risk? When I was on bed rest for 4 months? Or maybe when I delivered at 34 weeks by emergency C-section and sat in the NICU praying all three would survive. Each question landed like blows. Benjamin's face went gray. You had complications. Yes, severe ones. But I had Rachel, my savings and determination. I had everything except you, and you'd made it clear you were building a different family. Because I didn't know? Benjamin pushed off the door, his anger gaining energy. You let me marry someone else. Let me have a child with another woman when... His voice broke. My daughter is 6 months old, Jamila. Isabel is 6 months old. I have 4 children, and I didn't even know 3 existed. The pain almost undid her. Almost. You wanted children desperately. You have a child. What would have changed? They're not just yours. They're mine too. They're ours. The words exploded from him. Everything would have changed. You would have stayed out of obligation. Jamila's voice was quiet but firm. Our marriage was already over. We both know that. Adding pregnancy wouldn't have revived what we'd killed through fertility treatments and resentment. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She came around the desk. We were drowning each other. The baby-making schedules, the hormones, the disappointment, it destroyed us. By the end, we were strangers sharing a bed. Benjamin's jaw clenched. So you decided I didn't deserve to know I'd finally gotten what we tried so hard for. The treatments didn't work. I conceived naturally 3 months after our separation, after the stress was gone, after I'd stopped trying desperately. The universe has cruel irony. Silence stretched between them, and Benjamin stared at her like she was a stranger. The woman he'd married, desperate for motherhood, didn't exist anymore. What now? Benjamin finally asked. You can't expect me to walk away. Those are my children. I know. She'd prepared for this. I knew this day would come. You have a right to know them, and they have a right to know their father. But I won't have their lives disrupted because you're in shock. Territorial? His laugh was bitter. You hid my children for 4 years, and you think my response is territorial? I protected my children. Jamila's voice turned steel. From instability, from obligation, from being raised by resentful parents. I built them a good life, and I won't apologize for that. I'm not asking you to apologize for raising them well. Benjamin stepped closer, and she caught his cologne, different from before, still doing something chemical to her equilibrium. I'm asking you to acknowledge you stole 4 years from me. 4 years I can never get back. The accusation hit its mark, but Jamila had made her choice with open eyes. If I could go back, I would make the same decision, not to hurt you, but because I believed it was best for my children. You were building a family with Vanessa. What was I supposed to do? Come running to you? Yes. The word burst from him desperately. That's exactly what you should have done. They'd circled these impossible questions before. The difference was that now 3 4-year-olds were sleeping in her office, and Benjamin's carefully constructed new family was about to implode. You need to go, Jamila said softly. Your team is waiting. We can't have this conversation now. When? I don't know. I need to talk to my lawyer. We need to figure out what's best for them. This isn't about you and me anymore. I'm not a stranger. I'm their father. Biologically, yes. But fatherhood is more than genetics. Jamila held up a hand. I'm not saying you don't have rights. I'm saying we need to be careful. Think about what's best for them. Benjamin visibly gathered control. I want a paternity test, not because I doubt it. Anyone can see they're mine, but for legal documentation. Agreed. And I want visitation. I want to know my children. We'll work it out through lawyers. Jamila moved toward the door. But understand something. I'm their mother. I've been their only parent for 4 years. You don't get to storm in and demand instant access. We'll do this slowly with their well-being as priority. They're my children, too. His voice had gone quiet, almost broken. Jamila's hand was on the doorknob. You get a say, but it won't override mine. We're co-parents now. That means compromise, communication, and putting 3 4-year-olds ahead of our feelings. Can you do that? Benjamin met her eyes, shifting from shocked ex-husband to strategic businessman. Yes, can you? I've been doing it for 4 years. She opened the door. I'll have my lawyer contact yours. We'll arrange the paternity test and discuss visitation. Until then, give me and my children space to prepare. Our children, Benjamin corrected, pausing in the threshold, close enough that she could see gold flecks in his green eyes. This isn't over, Jamila. I've lost 4 years already. I won't lose another day. He walked out. Jamila closed the door and leaned against it, trembling. Her sanctuary had been breached, her secret exposed. The life she'd carefully built was about to be torn open. She straightened her spine, smoothed her blouse, and went to check on her children. Because whatever storm was coming, one thing remained unchanged. She was their mother first. Everything else, including the way her traitorous heart had stuttered when Benjamin looked at her, was secondary. The rest of the day passed in professional performance. Benjamin stayed with his team on the 3rd floor. She neither saw him nor went looking. At 7:30, after dinner service was underway, her private line rang. She knew before answering who it would be. Jamila Woods. It's me. Benjamin's voice came through with traffic noise. I'm in my car. I've been driving for 2 hours trying to process everything. Jamila closed her eyes. Benjamin, I'm not calling to fight. I need to understand. Help me understand. The pleas in his voice broke through defenses. She sank into her chair. What do you want me to say? That it was easy? That I didn't think about calling you every day of my pregnancy? Did you? Make the right choice? I don't know. Raw honesty. I thought I was protecting them, protecting you. Our marriage ended badly. I couldn't bear bringing children into that toxicity. So instead, you brought them into a world where their father didn't exist. Their father didn't exist for them, Jamila countered. You were building a life with Vanessa. What was I supposed to do, blow that up? That should have been my choice. Maybe, she sipped wine. But I made it instead. And I'm not entirely sorry. Silence stretched. When Benjamin spoke again, his voice had changed. Tell me about them, please. What are they like? The request surprised her. Elijah is quiet. He's got your analytical mind. He can focus on building blocks for hours. Maya is our performer. She tells stories, has enough charisma for 10 children. Jordan is my wild child, fearless, always, climbing something. They're beautiful. Benjamin's voice went soft. When I saw them, all I could think was that they have your smile. Maya has your dimples. Jordan has your grandmother's hair color. I remember. Pause. What are they like? Favorite foods, books? Do they ever ask about their father? The question made her chest ache. Not really. They're 4. Their world is small. Me, Rachel, preschool, routines. A few times Maya asked why they don't have a daddy, but I told her families come in all shapes. Jesus, Jamila, his voice broke. You told them I didn't exist? No, I told them they were loved. There's a difference. And Benjamin, they are loved. Everything I've built, every choice for the last 4 years has been about making sure those 3 children have stability and unconditional love. I don't doubt that. I saw your hotel. It's incredible. You built an empire while raising them alone. I just wish you'd trusted me enough to let me be part of it. It wasn't about trust. It was about survival. Jamila stood, carrying wine to the window. Our marriage nearly destroyed us both. You know that's true. Might have saved us, Benjamin interrupted, or made everything worse. We'll never know. No, we won't. She pressed her forehead against cool glass. But we know this. You have 3 children who are happy and healthy. And now, you get a chance to be their father, if you're willing to do it right. What does right look like? Slow, careful, and supervised visits at first, letting them know you gradually. And Benjamin, you need to tell Vanessa, before this goes any further, she needs to know. The silence was deafening. Finally, my marriage to Vanessa is already over, has been for months. We're going through motions for Isabel's sake. This revelation shouldn't have made something flutter in Jamila's chest. She suppressed it. That's between you and her, but she deserves to know the truth, especially if you want to fight for custody. She finished, her voice strained. Custody? Benjamin pounced on the word. You think I'm going to fight you? I think you're angry and hurt. I think we need lawyers to protect everyone's interests. And I think you need to understand I won't give up primary custody. They're my children. I've raised them from birth. I'm not trying to take them from you. I'm trying to become part of their lives. There's a difference. Good. I need to go. It's almost bedtime. Jamila, His voice stopped her. Thank you for taking care of them, for raising them well, whatever anger I'm feeling. Thank you. The unexpected gratitude made her throat tight. They make it easy. They're incredible children. You're going to love them. I already do, he said simply. I looked at them for 30 seconds and I already love them. Jamila ended the call before tears could fall. She gathered her things and drove toward her home where her children waited. 3 days later, Jamila sat in her attorney's conference room. Across from her sat Benjamin and his attorney, David Whitfield, whose reputation for ruthless efficiency preceded him. Her own lawyer, Patricia Kim, was steel gray-haired with steelier courtroom manner. Let's establish ground rules, Patricia began. We're here to discuss parental rights and custody arrangements, prioritizing 3-4-year-olds' well-being, not to litigate the past. Agreed? David nodded. My client's primary concern is establishing parental rights and creating a relationship with his children. Our client's primary concern, Patricia countered, is ensuring minimal disruption. Ms. Woods has been their sole caregiver for 4 years. Stability is paramount. Jamila felt Benjamin's eyes on her, but kept her gaze on Patricia. My client agrees to a paternity test, Patricia continued. Once legally established, we're willing to discuss supervised visitation building toward co-parenting. Supervised visitation? Benjamin's voice cut through, tight with controlled anger. They're my children. Mr. Cole, Patricia said patiently, they're children who have never met you. Would you prefer being dropped into their lives with no transition? David placed a restraining hand on Benjamin's arm. What does this supervised visitation look like? Initial meetings in Ms. Woods's presence, public spaces, parks, museums, child-friendly restaurants, short visits, an hour or two. After several successful visits, we can discuss unsupervised time. How long? Benjamin asked, jaw clenched. Weeks? Months? Jamila finally spoke. As long as it takes for them to feel safe. They're not props in our drama. His eyes snapped to hers, the impact nearly stealing her breath. I would never treat them as props, but I've already lost 4 years. Forgive me if I'm impatient. Then work with me instead of against me. Jamila leaned forward. I'm not your enemy. I'm the mother of your children, trying to navigate this as carefully as possible. Something flickered across Benjamin's face. Acknowledgement, maybe. Before David could interject, Benjamin spoke directly to her. If I agree to supervised visits, how quickly can we start? This weekend, Saturday afternoon, the park near my house, 2 hours. I'll be there the entire time. And after Saturday? We evaluate. If it goes well, we do it again, building consistency to let them get used to you, and when they are comfortable, we can talk about expanding. Benjamin studied her. Okay, we do it your way, but Jamila, promise me something. What? That you'll be honest. If something isn't working, or if the children are struggling, you'll tell me. We're in this together now. I promise. If you promise the same. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about 3 children who deserve both their parents. Both their parents, he repeated softly. I like the sound of that. David cleared his throat. Excellent. Let's discuss practicalities. Mr. Cole will submit to paternity testing. Already scheduled, Benjamin interrupted. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., non-invasive cheek swabs. The sooner we have documentation, the sooner we formalize custody. Jamila blinked. You want me to bring the children tomorrow? Unless that's a problem, the test is quick. Benjamin's expression was carefully neutral. The sooner we have legal documentation, the sooner we can formalize arrangements. He was right. Still, she balked at custody and everything it implied. Fine, 10 a.m. But Benjamin, the children won't understand what's happening. As far as they know, you're just mommy's friend. I haven't told them you're their father. Why not? Because I wanted to wait until after this meeting. Until I knew we had a plan. Jamila held his gaze. I'm telling them tonight. Rachel will help. But they're 4. I'm keeping it simple. You're their daddy. You've been away but want to know them now. Away? Benjamin's mouth twisted. That's one way to describe it. What would you prefer I tell them? That mommy kept you a secret? That's not age appropriate. Patricia intervened. Ms. Woods will inform the children appropriately. Mr. Cole, trust her judgment. She knows them best. The meeting continued for another hour. Financial support, trust funds, protocols. By the time Jamila walked out, she felt wrung out. Benjamin caught up in the elevator. They stood in careful silence. "Thank you," Benjamin said as they descended, "for agreeing to the paternity test, for the park visit, and for not making this harder." Jamila laughed humorlessly. "Harder? This is the hardest thing I've ever done." The elevator reached ground floor, but neither moved when doors opened. Benjamin turned to face her. "I know you think I'm the enemy, but I'm not. I'm just a man who discovered he has 3 children and doesn't want to waste another second." "I don't think you're the enemy." Jamila met his eyes, letting him see vulnerability. "I think you're scared, but so am I. I'm scared of disrupting their lives, custody battles, of... She stopped before saying, "Scared of you." "Scared of what?" Benjamin prompted, stepping closer. The elevator doors had closed again. Jamila could smell his cologne. "Scared of failing them. They're my entire world. If I let the wrong person into their lives..." "I'm not the wrong person. I'm their father. You're a stranger who shares their DNA." The words came harsh and she saw him flinch. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not a stranger. You're just unknown to them. And I need to know you're going to show up consistently, that you're committed long term." Benjamin's jaw clenched. "You really think I'd abandon my own children?" "I don't know what you'd do. That's the problem." Jamila jabbed the open button. "We don't know each other anymore. We're different people. So we're going to figure out how to co-parent as the people we are now." The doors opened. She stepped out, but Benjamin's voice followed. "Then help me know you. The you that exists now. Because whether you like it or not, we're going to be in each other's lives for the next 14 years minimum. We might as well figure out how to do this without constantly being at each other's throats." She turned back. Something in his expression, earnest and exhausted and achingly familiar, made her defenses crack. "We'll figure it out, starting Saturday at the park." "Starting Saturday," Benjamin agreed. "I'll be there at 2. 2 o'clock. Don't be late. They get cranky when routines are disrupted." A small smile tugged at his mouth. "Noted. Any other instructions?" "No sugar before 4 p.m. unless you want aftermath. Maya is sensitive about her hair. Don't touch without asking. Jordan climbs everything. Elijah needs time to warm up, so don't push if he's quiet." Benjamin pulled out his phone and typed notes. "No sugar, don't touch Maya's hair, watch Jordan, give Elijah space. What else?" The sight of him carefully noting parenting instructions did something complicated to her heart. "They like being read to, Maya especially. She'll bring you every book." "I'll bring books Saturday. Any favorites?" "Princesses for Maya and dinosaurs for Jordan. Elijah likes building books. How things work." Benjamin looked up, expression tender. "Thank you for trusting me with this. It's terrifying, but you're right. We're in this now." She walked away before he could respond. That evening, Jamila sat on her living room floor with 3 4-year-olds arranged around her, Rachel perched on the couch for backup. "So," she began, aiming for casual, "remember the man at Mommy's hotel, in the fancy suit? The one who dropped his briefcase?" Maya asked. "Yes, his name is Benjamin, and I need to tell you something important about him." Jordan was already distracted by a toy truck. Elijah watched with those serious green eyes. Maya leaned forward. "Benjamin is someone very special," Jamila continued. "He's your daddy." The word hung in the air. Jordan looked up. Maya's eyes went wide. Elijah's expression didn't change, but his small hands clenched. "My daddy?" Maya breathed. "Yes, baby, your daddy, all 3 of you." "Where was he?" Elijah asked, his first words. "Why doesn't he live with us?" This was the moment she'd dreaded. "Sometimes grown-ups have to live in different places. Your daddy and I weren't living together when you were born, and he didn't know about you at first. But now he does, and he wants to meet you and spend time with you." "Does he want to live with us?" Jordan asked. "No, honey, he has his own house, but you'll visit him sometimes, and he'll visit you. Like Aunt Rachel." Rachel nodded supportively. "That's right. Your daddy's going to be part of your family." "Does he have toys?" Jordan's priorities were clear. Jamila smiled. "I'm sure he'll get toys, but more importantly, he wants to play with you and read to you and learn about what you like." Maya was processing. "Is he a prince, like in my books?" "Not exactly, but he's successful and builds big buildings." "Cool," Jordan declared. But Elijah remained quiet, troubled. She reached for him and he came willingly, curling into her lap. "What is it, baby?" "If he's our daddy," Elijah said seriously, "why did he drop his briefcase? Was he scared of us?" Her brilliant, observant boy. "Not scared, sweetheart, just surprised. He was very surprised to see you because he didn't know about you before. Sometimes when grown-ups get very surprised, they do silly things." "Will he come back?" "Yes. This Saturday, we're meeting him at the park. He's going to play with you and I'll be right there." Elijah considered this gravely. "Okay." Maya had decided this was excellent news. "I'm wearing my princess dress and my tiara. You can wear whatever you want, baby." Later, after the children were bathed and in bed, Rachel and Jamila sat on the back patio with wine. "You did good," Rachel said. "That could have gone worse. Maya thinks he's a prince, Jordan wants toys, and Elijah asked if he'd leave again." Jamila shook her head. They each processed it completely differently. "You said loving things. That's what matters." Rachel studied her sister. "How are you holding up?" "I'm terrified. What if this destroys their security? What if Benjamin disappoints them?" "What if it works out?" Rachel interrupted gently. "What if he's actually a good father and the kids thrive?" "Since when did you become Team Benjamin?" "I'm team whatever's best for my niece and nephews, and maybe having their father involved will be good. Kids need role models." Jamila took a long sip of wine, remembering the elevator conversation, the way Benjamin had smiled. "We'll never be friends, though." Rachel just smiled knowingly and refilled their glasses. Saturday arrived with perfect autumn weather. Jamila dressed carefully in dark jeans and a rust-colored sweater, then second-guessed the choice. Why did she care what she looked like? "Because you're human, and he was your first love," Rachel said when Jamila admitted to changing 3 times. "Stop overthinking. You look beautiful." The children were excited. Maya in her princess dress, Jordan with pockets full of trucks, Elijah quiet but watchful. Benjamin was already at the park when they arrived, standing near the playground with hands in pockets, looking nervous. He'd dressed down, jeans and a navy Henley that emphasized shoulders Jamila had no business noticing, and held a bag presumably containing books. "He's here," Maya announced, waving enthusiastically. Jamila took a moment before getting out, watching Benjamin's face as he spotted them. The transformation was remarkable, anxiety melting into wonder as the car doors opened. "Hi," Maya said, walking right up with zero hesitation. "I'm Maya and I'm wearing my princess dress because you're like a prince because you build tall buildings." Benjamin looked like someone had handed him the sun. He crouched to her level, smile genuine. "Hi, Maya, that's a beautiful dress. I like your tiara too." "Thank you. This is Jordan." Maya took over introductions. "And that's Elijah. He's the quiet one and I'm the loud one. Jordan likes trucks." "Nice to meet you, Jordan." Benjamin's voice was slightly hoarse. "I heard you might want to show me your trucks." Jordan immediately started pulling vehicles from pockets. Benjamin sat cross-legged on grass, expensive jeans be damned, and let Jordan arrange trucks around him, asking questions and making engine noises that had Jordan giggling within minutes. Jamila watched from a few feet away, arms crossed protectively, even as her heart did something complicated. This was Benjamin at his best, fully present, genuinely engaged. She remembered this version from early in their marriage. Elijah hung back near Jamila's legs, watching cautiously. Benjamin glanced up, met her eyes, and she saw the question. "What do I do?" She mouthed, "Give him time." Benjamin nodded, then returned attention to Jordan's truck narrative. After about 10 minutes, he said casually, "I brought books. Maya, your mom mentioned you like princesses?" "I love princesses," Maya declared. And suddenly, Benjamin was surrounded by 2 children, pulling books from his bag while Elijah observed from safety. Jamila moved to sit on a nearby bench. She watched Benjamin handle Maya's endless questions patiently, followed Jordan's energetic demonstrations, and glanced periodically toward Elijah with understanding. 20 minutes in, Elijah made his move. He walked slowly over carrying the building book Jamila had brought. He didn't say anything, just stood there holding it. Benjamin looked up, expression gentling. "Is that for me to see?" Elijah nodded. "Can I look at it with you?" Another nod. Benjamin opened the book, and Elijah sat beside him, not touching, but close. They looked through pages in companionable silence while Maya narrated and Jordan vroomed trucks. Jamila felt tears prick her eyes and blinked them back. This was what she'd wanted: connection, gentleness, Benjamin proving worthy. It was also terrifying because she could already see bonds forming. An hour passed quickly. The children showed Benjamin the playground, Maya insisting he watch her slide, Jordan climbing monkey bars while Benjamin spotted, Elijah quietly building in the sandbox. It looked like any father spending Saturday with his kids. When Jordan scraped his knee, he ran to Jamila, and she saw Benjamin's face fall slightly. But he didn't push, just hovered nearby with concern while she cleaned and bandaged the minor wound. "You're okay, buddy," she murmured, kissing Jordan's forehead. "It hurts," Jordan whimpered. "I know. Want to sit with me for a minute?" She settled on the bench with Jordan in her lap, and to her surprise, Benjamin sat on the other end, close but not crowding. Maya and Elijah gravitated toward them, and suddenly all five were together on the bench. Maya leaned against Benjamin's side, like they'd known each other forever, chattering about the Princess book. Elijah sat between Jamila and Benjamin, close to his mother, but with his leg just touching his father's. They looked like a family. Complicated and new and fragile, but a family. "I should probably get them home soon," Jamila said reluctantly as 2 hours approached. "Dinner and bath time, Saturday routines." "Of course." Benjamin stood, then hesitated. "Could I say a proper goodbye instead of just leaving?" "That would be good." Benjamin crouched to the children's level. "Thank you for spending time with me today. I had so much fun learning about your trucks and princess stories and buildings." "Will you come back?" Elijah asked, the most words he'd spoken to Benjamin all afternoon. "Yes. If that's okay with you, I'd like to come back next Saturday. Same time, same place?" Three heads turned to Jamila for confirmation. She nodded. "Next Saturday." "Can you bring more books?" Maya asked. "Absolutely. Any special requests?" As Maya launched into favorite stories, Benjamin pulled out his phone and typed notes. Jordan added preferences, more truck books, and even Elijah quietly mentioned liking space books. "Princess books, truck books, and space books," Benjamin confirmed. "I'll bring all three next week." They walked back to Jamila's car together, children running ahead while she and Benjamin followed at slower pace. This was dangerous territory. Close proximity, shared purpose, the afternoon's success lowering defenses. "Thank you," Benjamin said quietly, "for giving me this, for letting me meet them properly. They're incredible." "They are, and you were good with them. Patient. You let them set the pace." "Elijah is like me. The way he hangs back observes. I recognized it immediately. He's cautious with new people. But bringing you his book was a big deal. And Maya could charm anyone. Jordan is fearless." Benjamin smiled. "They're so different. Triplets usually are. They develop distinct personalities early to differentiate." Jamila stopped a few feet from the car, where Rachel was helping children into seats. "We should discuss logistics for next week." "Same time, same place?" Benjamin asked, then more seriously. "Or would you be willing to vary location?" "I was thinking maybe the Children's Museum, or lunch somewhere they like." Jamila considered. The park felt safe. Other locations meant more variables, but it also meant progression. "Let me think about it. I'll text you this week." "You have my number?" "Patricia sent it over. I haven't called. It's okay." Benjamin's voice was gentle. "Text me anytime, about the kids, logistics, anything you need." They'd reached the car. Rachel stood by the driver's door, watching with undisguised curiosity. "Ready, Mila?" "Yeah, Rachel, you remember Benjamin?" "Of course." Rachel extended her hand, smile friendly but with protective edge. "Good to see you again." "You too, and thank you, Jamila. Mentioned you've been helping with the children. I appreciate you taking care of them." "They're my family," Rachel said simply, emphasis clear. "Hurt them, and you deal with me." Benjamin nodded understanding. "I should let you all get going." "Kids," he raised his voice. "I'll see you next Saturday, okay?" Three voices chorused goodbye, and Jamila climbed into the driver's seat. But before she could close the door, Benjamin leaned down, close enough that she caught his cologne mixed with grass and sunshine. "Thank you," he said again, voice pitched for her ears only. "For our children, for raising them to be kind and curious and wonderful. Whatever mistakes we made, whatever pain there was, We created something beautiful together. The sincerity, the proximity, the way afternoon light caught gold flecks in his green eyes, it all combined to create dangerous intimacy. Jamila's breath caught, and she saw awareness flare in Benjamin's expression, acknowledgement that whatever had burned between them years ago wasn't completely extinguished. "I should go," she managed, but neither moved. "Yeah," Benjamin agreed, but he stayed leaning on her door, face mere inches from hers. Rachel, clearing her throat meaningfully, broke the spell. Jamila blinked, pulled back, and Benjamin straightened quickly. "Drive safe," he said, stepping away. "You too," she replied, then cursed the automatic response when he wasn't going anywhere. She closed the door and started the engine, hyper-aware of Benjamin standing in the parking lot watching them leave. In the rearview mirror, she saw him lift his hand in a wave as they pulled away, and all three children waved back enthusiastically. "Well," Rachel said once they'd turned onto the main road, "that was interesting." "Don't." "I'm just saying, there was a moment back there." There was no moment. Jamila kept eyes on the road. "Mila, I was 3 feet away. There was definitely a moment." From the back seat, Maya piped up, "I like Daddy. He's nice, and he's going to bring me more princess books." "Me too," Jordan agreed. "He made truck noises." Even Elijah added quietly, "He has the same eyes as me." Jamila's hands tightened on the wheel. Yes, the visit had been successful. Yes, Benjamin had been wonderful. And yes, there had been a moment, brief, dangerous, full of remembered chemistry. But she couldn't afford moments. She had 3 children whose well-being depended on smart choices. Benjamin was their father now, part of their lives permanently. That meant maintaining boundaries, keeping things professional. She just had to remember that, even if every cell in her body had responded to his proximity like remembering home. Chapter 2. The next 2 weeks established a rhythm. Saturday afternoons became sacred. 2 hours Benjamin spent with the children under Jamila's watchful supervision. They varied locations. The Children's Museum, where Maya declared the butterfly exhibit magical, a family-friendly restaurant where Jordan managed to wear more spaghetti than he ate, a pumpkin patch where Elijah carefully selected the perfect pumpkin for carving. Each visit, the children relaxed more. Maya now greeted Benjamin with enthusiastic hugs. Jordan automatically reached for his hand when crossing streets. Elijah had started asking questions about Benjamin's work, his house, what he liked to eat, signaling growing curiosity and trust. And each visit, Jamila found it harder to maintain professional distance. It wasn't anything Benjamin did overtly. He remained respectful, focused on the children, careful not to overstep. But there were moments when their hands brushed, reaching for the same child, when they shared amused glances over Maya's dramatic storytelling, when they unconsciously moved as a team, that felt dangerously like partnership. The paternity test results came back as expected. Benjamin was definitively the biological father. His attorney filed paperwork to be added to birth certificates. They were officially co-parents now, which is how Jamila found herself on a Tuesday evening 3 weeks after the hotel lobby revelation, sitting in Patricia's office again. "We need to formalize the custody arrangement," Patricia said, sliding papers across the desk. "Right now, everything is informal, but if things become contentious, you'll want legal protection." "They're not going to become contentious," Jamila said, but the words felt like tempting fate. Patricia raised an eyebrow. Famous last words. "Look, I'm glad supervised visits are going well, but he's eventually going to ask for unsupervised time. Overnight visits, holiday arrangements. We need to establish parameters now." Jamila rubbed her temples. "What are you recommending?" "Start with standard custody. You maintain primary physical custody. Children live with you full time. Benjamin gets visitation starting with supervised, progressing to unsupervised day visits, eventually building to overnight stays once children are comfortable." Overnights. The word felt like swallowing glass. Her babies sleeping somewhere else, somewhere she couldn't reach them if they needed her. "Eventually, yes. But we can move slowly. Maybe in 6 months, once relationship is firmly established." Patricia's voice gentled. "I know this is hard, but he's their father. Unless there's evidence he's unfit, which there isn't, he has a right to meaningful time. The court will support that." "I know." Jamila did know. Legally, logically, she understood. Emotionally, every protective instinct screamed. What about holidays? Alternating. He gets them Christmas this year, you get them next. Same with Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July, or you can do split holidays. There are 4. Split holidays sound exhausting. Then alternating years. Patricia made notes. What about financial support? We discussed trust funds, but Mr. Cole's attorney has been pushing for more comprehensive agreement. What does that mean? He wants to contribute to current expenses. Preschool tuition, medical costs, extracurriculars, he wants to pay his share. Jamila's instinct was to refuse, but Rachel's voice echoed, Your pride doesn't benefit the children. Fine, he can contribute to current expenses, but day-to-day stuff, food, clothing, housing, that's still mine. Because your primary custodian, yes, though he'll have those expenses too once overnights begin. Patricia paused. There's one more thing. Mr. Cole has requested the children meet his daughter. Jamila's head snapped up. Isabel? Yes, he believes the children should know their half-sister. He's proposing a supervised meeting, both you and his wife present initially. His wife. Vanessa. The woman Benjamin had left her for, who was presumably reeling from discovering her husband had secret children. Has he told her? Does she know? According to Mr. Whitfield, yes. Mr. Cole informed her the same week he discovered the children. Apparently the marriage was already troubled, and this accelerated deterioration. Guilt twisted in Jamila's stomach. She'd destroyed a marriage. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Meeting Vanessa and exposing the children to what's bound to be a tense interaction. You don't have to decide today. Think about it and talk to Benjamin, but eventually the children will have to navigate blended families. It might be better to start now, under controlled circumstances, then wait until it becomes crisis. Jamila gathered her things, mind spinning. She'd known this was coming, all of it. The custody arrangements, progression to unsupervised visits, eventual integration of Benjamin's other child. But knowing intellectually and facing concrete reality were different. She was halfway to her car when her phone buzzed with a text from Benjamin. Benjamin. The kids asked if I could come to their Halloween party at preschool on Friday. Is that okay with you? Jamila stopped walking, staring at the message. The Halloween party. She'd been planning to go, but having Benjamin there felt like another line being crossed. Her fingers hovered before typing. When did they ask you? Benjamin. Today. I stopped by the park after work hoping to catch you, and they were there with Rachel. We talked for about 20 minutes, and Maya mentioned the party. He'd stopped by hoping to see them. Was actively seeking time beyond scheduled Saturdays. That should please her. It showed commitment. So why did it feel threatening? Jamila. The party is at 2 p.m. Parents are welcome. You can come if you want. Benjamin. I want to, thanks. Should I bring anything? Jamila. The classroom parents have it covered. Just come. Benjamin. I will. See you Friday. She pocketed her phone and resumed walking, trying to ignore the flutter in her chest. Benjamin was about to meet her children's entire preschool world, teachers, friends, other parents who'd known them as Jamila's triplets, without any father mentioned. The gossip would be spectacular. Friday arrived with Halloween chaos. Jamila had dressed the children in coordinating costumes, Maya as Butterfly Queen, Jordan as Dragon, Elijah as Knight, and they were vibrating with excitement. Remember, Daddy is coming to the party, Maya announced to anyone who would listen. By the time Jamila arrived at 2 p.m. carrying cupcakes, the classroom was buzzing. She spotted Benjamin immediately. He stood near the craft table looking endearingly out of place in his business suit, surrounded by moms in yoga pants. He'd come straight from work. And from the way several mothers were staring with undisguised interest, they'd noticed both his designer suit and his complete availability as male presence in their parent ecosystem. Jamila felt irrational possessiveness she ruthlessly suppressed. Benjamin wasn't hers, hadn't been for 4 years. If other women found him attractive, that was none of her concern. Ms. Woods, the teacher, Mrs. Patterson, approached with warm smile. So glad you could make it. And I see Mr. Cole is here too. The children have been talking about their father nonstop this week. Have they? Oh yes. Apparently there have been several park visits and museum trips. The children are thrilled. Mrs. Patterson lowered her voice. I have to say, we were surprised to learn about their father. You've kept that quite private. It's complicated, Jamila said, truth and deflection. Benjamin reached them before Mrs. Patterson could probe further. Jamila, Mrs. Patterson, thank you for letting me come today. Of course, family's always welcome. Mrs. Patterson beamed. Your children are delightful. Elijah is one of our brightest students, Maya is our little performer, and Jordan keeps us on our toes. I'm learning that, Benjamin said with genuine warmth. They're pretty incredible. Mrs. Patterson excused herself to start party games, leaving Jamila and Benjamin standing awkwardly near cupcakes. Around them, 4-year-olds in costumes played and consumed alarming amounts of sugar. You didn't have to come straight from work, Jamila said, noticing his tie and jacket. I didn't want to be late. The kids said 2 o'clock, so I made sure I was here at 2. Benjamin loosened his tie slightly. Besides, I wasn't sure if changing implied trying too hard or not enough, so I figured the suit was neutral. The admission that he'd overthought his clothing, that he was nervous about a preschool party, was unexpectedly endearing. The suit is fine, though you're the only man here in anything but jeans. I noticed, Benjamin glanced at the sea of mothers. Is there usually this much estrogen at preschool events? Welcome to early childhood education. Dads are rare species. Jamila grabbed Punch. There's usually 1 or 2, but most fathers work through afternoon events. I canceled 2 meetings to be here. The kids will appreciate that. They fell into silence, watching their children. Maya was center stage. In musical chairs, Jordan was already covered in orange frosting, and Elijah was crafting something at the art table with focused intensity. They're so different, Benjamin murmured. How did that happen? Same genes, same environment, completely unique personalities. That's children. Rachel and I are sisters, raised the same, and we couldn't be more different. Jamila sipped 2 sweet punch. Maya came out ready to perform. Jordan literally started climbing before he could walk. Elijah observed everything for weeks before even attempting to crawl. They've been exactly who they are from the beginning. Tell me more. Benjamin turned to face her fully. I want to know everything. First words, first steps, favorite foods, what makes them laugh, all of it. The request landed somewhere tender. This man wanted to know his children, truly know them, and was willing to piece together 4 years through her stories. Jamila felt resistance crack another degree. Maya's first word was more, she said, smiling at the memory. 8 months old and wanted more pureed sweet potato. Jordan's was up. He wanted to be picked up constantly. Elijah's was book. He was obsessed with being read to, still is. What about walking? Jordan first at 9 months. Pediatrician said unusually early, but he was determined. Maya at 11 months, Elijah at 13. They all hit milestones in their own time. Benjamin absorbed this like memorizing sacred text. Favorite foods? Maya loves anything with cheese. Jordan would eat only chicken nuggets if I let him. Elijah is my adventurous eater. He'll try anything once. Jamila found herself relaxing into conversation, the party fading to background. Maya is terrified of the dark, but fearless about performing. Jordan is scared of nothing except bees. He got stung last summer and now panics. Elijah hates loud noises but loves thunderstorms because he can watch from the window. They're so complete, Benjamin said, wonder in his voice. Fully formed little people with preferences and fears and personalities. I missed all of it, the building blocks that made them who they are. The grief in his voice made Jamila's chest ache. You're here now. You're learning them now. That's what matters. Is it enough? Me showing up now, trying to cram 4 years into supervised park visits? Jamila looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not the powerful businessman or ex-husband who'd hurt her, but a man genuinely grappling with loss and responsibility. It's enough if you keep showing up, if you stay consistent, if you prove you're here not from obligation or guilt, but because you actually want to know them. I do want to know them. Benjamin's intensity was palpable. Every single thing about them. And Jamila, I want— Daddy! Jordan's shout interrupted. Their son barreled across the room, orange frosting smeared across his dragon costume, and launched at Benjamin's legs with complete confidence. Benjamin caught him automatically, lifting Jordan despite the expensive suit and inevitable frosting transfer. Hey, buddy, having fun? So much fun. Did you see me eat 3 cupcakes? I did not, but I'm very impressed. Benjamin caught Jamila's eye over Jordan's head, and she mouthed, You're going to regret that sugar. He grinned, genuine and unguarded, and something in Jamila's carefully constructed defenses crumbled completely. Maya arrived next, dragging Elijah by hand. "Daddy, Mommy, you have to come see my craft. I made a bat with googly eyes." "We definitely need to see that," Jamila agreed, letting herself be pulled toward the art table with Benjamin following, Jordan still in his arms. For the next hour, they existed in a bubble of normalcy. They admired crafts, played party games, sang happy birthday to October birthday kids, and cleaned up spilled juice together. To anyone watching, to all the mothers definitely watching, they looked like any co-parenting pair managing a preschool party. But Jamila felt the undercurrent, the way Benjamin's hand brushed her back when he reached past for napkins, the shared glances over children's heads that communicated entire conversations without words, the moment when they both crouched to tie Jordan's shoe and ended up so close she could count his eyelashes. When the party ended and parents began collecting costumed children, Mrs. Patterson approached. "Mr. Cole, Ms. Woods, could I speak with you both for a moment?" They followed her to a quieter corner, while Rachel, who'd arrived to help with pickup, wrangled Triplets into jackets. "I wanted to discuss Elijah's reading level," Mrs. Patterson began. "He's significantly advanced for his age. I think he might benefit from enrichment activities, perhaps a reading group with older students. Would you both be amenable?" Both. She was asking them both, treating them as parenting unit. It was the first time anyone had done that, and Jamila saw Benjamin straighten slightly at being included. "I think that sounds wonderful," Jamila said. "What would it involve?" As Mrs. Patterson explained the program, Jamila was hyper-aware of Benjamin beside her, asking informed questions, expressing enthusiasm for supporting Elijah's development. This was what co-parenting looked like: unified decisions, shared investment in children's well-being. It was terrifying how right it felt. "We'll talk it over and get back to you," Benjamin said finally, then glanced at Jamila. "Is that okay? Or did you want to decide now?" The fact that he'd asked, that he'd deferred to her as primary parent while asserting his own involvement, struck exactly the right balance. "Talking it over makes sense. We can discuss this weekend." They walked out together, Benjamin having shed his jacket at some point and now carrying it, his white shirt showing evidence of preschool party chaos. He looked human and accessible, in a way his usual polished persona never did. The children were already in. Jamila's SUV with Rachel, arguing about who got which toy. Benjamin walked with her to the driver's side, and she braced for goodbye that was becoming increasingly complicated. "Thank you," he said, "for letting me come today, for including me in the conversation with Mrs. Patterson, for all of it. You're their father. You should be included in decisions about their education. I know, but you didn't have to make it easy. You could have shut me out, made me fight for every inch. Instead, you're—" He gestured vaguely. "I'm trying to do what's best for them," Jamila finished, "even when it's hard, even when it means sharing control I've had exclusively for 4 years. It can't be easy." "It's not," she met his eyes. "But neither's what you're doing. Trying to build relationships with children who are complete strangers, catching up on 4 years, navigating your ex-wife and your lawyer and your imploding marriage, all while I'm probably not making it easier. Your rules make sense. Your supervision is protecting them." Benjamin shifted his weight, and Jamila realized they'd moved closer during conversation, close enough that she'd have to tilt her head back slightly to maintain eye contact. "But Jamila, at some point, we need to talk about what happens next, moving beyond supervised visits, overnight stays, how we're really going to make this work long-term." "I know. Patricia already drafted a custody agreement. We need to review it, negotiate terms." "More lawyers and conference rooms." Benjamin's mouth twisted. "Is that the only way we can communicate? Through legal intermediaries?" "It's safer, more controlled, less likely to— To what?" He'd moved even closer, or maybe she had, and the air between them had changed texture, become charged with something that had nothing to do with custody and everything to do with history and chemistry. "To complicate things," she finished weakly. "Jamila." Her name was almost a sigh. "Things are already complicated. They became complicated the moment I walked into your hotel and saw our children. Maybe we should stop pretending we can keep this clinical and acknowledge we have 4 years of history that doesn't just evaporate." She should step back. Should end this conversation, get in her car, maintain boundaries. Instead, she heard herself ask, "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we talk, really talk, without lawyers, without kids as buffer, without pretending we're strangers who happen to share DNA with 3 4-year-olds. His voice had dropped, intimate and intense. "I'm suggesting dinner, just you and me, having an honest conversation about how we move forward." Every rational cell screamed danger. Dinner alone with Benjamin, after an afternoon watching him be wonderful with children, after weeks of growing attraction disguised as co-parenting logistics, it was a terrible idea. "Okay," she said anyway. Surprise flashed across Benjamin's face. "Okay?" "One dinner, to discuss co-parenting logistics and long-term arrangements, nothing more." "Nothing more," he agreed, but something in his eyes suggested he didn't entirely believe the limitation. "When?" "Tomorrow night? I'll make reservations somewhere quiet where we can actually talk." Jamila nodded, already regretting this decision even as anticipation fluttered in her chest. "Text me the details." "I will." Benjamin took a step back, restoring professional distance, but his eyes remained locked on hers. "Drive safe. Tell the kids I'll see them this weekend." She climbed into her SUV, hyper-aware of him watching. In the rearview mirror, she saw him standing in the preschool parking lot, jacket slung over shoulder, looking after her car with an expression she couldn't read. "Well," Rachel said from the passenger seat, voice laced with knowing amusement, "that was interesting." "Don't start. I'm just saying, there was some serious—" "Rachel, not in front of the kids." From the backseat, Maya piped up, "Mommy, Daddy looked very handsome today. Mrs. Patterson said so to the other mommies." Jamila closed her eyes briefly. "That's nice, baby. Are you going to marry him again?" This from Elijah, because her most observant child would cut straight to complicated questions. "No, honey, Daddy and I are just friends who are raising you together." "But you were married before." "A long time ago, yes, before you were born." "Why did you stop being married?" "How did you explain marriage dissolution to a 4-year-old? Sometimes grown-ups realize they're better as friends than as husband and wife. Daddy and I love you very much, but we aren't married anymore." "Could you be married again?" Maya asked, ever the romantic. "That's not going to happen, sweet girl. But we're going to be good friends and good parents to you. That's what matters." In the passenger seat, Rachel remained diplomatically silent, but Jamila could feel her sister's skepticism. Because Rachel had seen what Jamila was trying hard to deny, that whatever had existed between her and Benjamin 4 years ago wasn't nearly as dead as she'd convinced herself it was. And tomorrow night's dinner was about to test exactly how not dead those feelings were. Saturday night, Jamila changed outfits 4 times before settling on dark jeans and a cream silk blouse. Elegant without trying too hard. She left her natural hair down in soft curls, applied minimal makeup, and told herself this was just a business dinner. Rachel's raised eyebrows said her sister wasn't buying it. "It's just dinner," Jamila insisted. "Sure, that's why you've changed 4 times and you're wearing the perfume you save for special occasions. It's habit, doesn't mean anything." "Keep telling yourself that." Rachel settled on the couch. "The kids are already in pajamas, fed and ready for bed. Take your time. It won't be all night. It's a business dinner." "Mila, honey, the man canceled meetings to come to a preschool party. He looks at you like you hung the moon. And you just spent 20 minutes on makeup for a business dinner. This is not business." "It has to be business," Jamila said quietly, "because anything else is too complicated. We're co-parents now. That's all we can be." Rachel stood, placing hands on her shoulders. "Listen to me. I love you. I've watched you sacrifice everything for those kids. You've been an incredible mother. But Mila, you're also a woman, and that man is their father. Maybe it's okay to explore what else you might be to each other." "We tried that already. It ended in divorce. You were different people then, desperate for something you couldn't have, tearing each other apart, trying to force it. You're different now. He's different. And you created 3 incredible humans together. That's not nothing." Jamila kissed her sister's cheek. "I'll be home by 10. "Sure you will," Rachel said, not hiding her smile. Benjamin had chosen a small Italian restaurant in a quiet neighborhood, candlelit tables and enough ambient noise for privacy. He was already there when Jamila arrived, standing immediately when he saw her. He'd changed from his business suit into dark jeans and a charcoal gray sweater that emphasized his shoulders and made his green eyes even more striking. His hair had that slightly tousled look, suggesting he'd run hands through it nervously. "You look beautiful," he said, pulling out her chair. "Thank you. You clean up well yourself." She settled into her seat, accepting the menu and using it as shield while she composed herself. They ordered. She chose butternut squash ravioli, he got osso buco, and then menus were gone, and there was nothing between them but flickering candlelight and 4 years of unresolved history. "So," Benjamin began, then stopped. "I planned what I was going to say. I had this whole speech about custody arrangements and co-parenting logistics. But now that you're here, all of that seems like we're hiding behind formality instead of having a real conversation," Jamila finished. "Exactly." He leaned back. "When did we become people who need scripts to talk to each other? Probably around the time our marriage started falling apart. We stopped talking and started talking at each other, or through lawyers." "I don't want to do that again." Benjamin paused while the waiter delivered wine. "Jamila, I need to tell you something, and I need you to just listen before you respond. Can you do that?" Wariness crept up her spine. "Okay. I filed for divorce from Vanessa. The papers were served 3 days ago." He held up a hand when she started to speak. "Let me finish. The marriage was over long before I discovered the triplets. It's been over for months. We've been 2 people living in the same house for Isabel's sake, but with no actual relationship. Finding out about Elijah, Maya, and Jordan didn't destroy my marriage. It just revealed what was already dead." Jamila processed this, wineglass frozen halfway to her lips. "Benjamin, I'm not telling you this to put pressure on you or suggest anything about us," he continued. "I'm telling you because I need you to understand that whatever happens between us, whatever co-parenting arrangement we create, it's not complicated by my marriage anymore. Vanessa knows about the children. She's hurt and angry, but she's agreed to reasonable custody for Isabel. We're dividing assets, negotiating terms, doing it as amicably as divorce can be done." "How is she handling it? Really?" Benjamin's laugh was bitter. "About as well as anyone handles discovering their husband has secret children with his ex-wife. She feels betrayed, even though rationally she knows I didn't know. She's furious with you for keeping the secret, furious with me for everything, I guess. Furious at herself for trapping a man who never really loved her." Trapping. She admitted it during one of our arguments. She stopped taking birth control without telling me because she knew I wanted children and thought pregnancy would lock me in. Benjamin's expression was bleak. "I can't even be angry because I was using her too. Using the relationship to feel wanted, using her pregnancy as redemption for children I thought I'd never have. We were both using each other, and Isabel is the innocent victim of our selfishness. Isabel isn't a victim if she's loved. And Benjamin, whatever else, I know you love your daughter." "I do, desperately. She's the one pure good thing from that mess." He met Jamila's eyes. "But loving Isabel doesn't mean I should stay in a dead marriage with her mother. And Jamila, I need you to believe me. I'm not leaving Vanessa for you. I'm leaving because staying would be a lie, and I'm done with lies." The waiter arrived with food, providing momentary reprieve. Jamila cut into ravioli mechanically, mind racing. Benjamin was getting divorced, would be fully legally single in however many months. Available. Not that his availability mattered. They were co-parents, nothing more. Except she was lying to herself again. "Thank you for telling me," she said finally, "and for being honest about why. You're right that you shouldn't stay in a dead marriage. Nobody should." "Like we didn't?" Benjamin's voice was gentle. "Stay too long in something that was killing us both?" "We were different. We were—" Jamila stopped, automatic defense dying. "We were exactly the same. 2 people who loved each other once, maybe still loved each other, but couldn't find a way to stop hurting each other." "Do you think about it?" Benjamin asked quietly. "About how we were before everything fell apart?" "Sometimes. More than sometimes. Late at night when children were asleep and the house was quiet, and she let herself remember being loved completely. I think about the beginning, how we met at that charity fundraiser and you spilled champagne on my dress." A smile tugged at Benjamin's mouth. "You were so furious. I thought you were going to murder me with your eyes alone." I loved that dress, and you were so flustered, trying to help and making it worse. I asked you to dinner as an apology. You asked because you thought I was beautiful and wanted an excuse. True. Benjamin's smile widened. But the champagne gave me an opening. Otherwise, I would have chickened out. You were so confident, so self-possessed. I was terrified you'd say no. I almost did. Rachel told me you looked like trouble. I was trouble. Am trouble. Just ask my soon-to-be ex-wife. They shared a rueful laugh, and Jamila felt tension ease. This was familiar territory, easy banter they'd shared before fertility treatments poisoned everything. Tell me about the business, Benjamin said, shifting topics. The hotel is incredible. You built that from nothing while raising triplets. How? Stubbornness mostly. She speared ravioli. And necessity. I needed income that could be flexible, that wouldn't penalize me for sick kids or school emergencies. The hotel gave me that. I could bring kids to work when needed, make my own hours, build something that would be theirs eventually. It's not just functional, it's elegant. Every detail is carefully considered. That's you, not just business necessity. The compliment warmed her more than it should. I wanted to create something beautiful, something that felt like sanctuary. When I was pregnant and terrified and alone, I'd imagined this place, somewhere safe and lovely where people could rest. Building it became therapy. I wish I'd been there. Benjamin's voice had gone rough. Not just for the children, but for you. You shouldn't have gone through that alone. I had Rachel, and I had purpose. The hotel, the babies, the future I was building. It was enough. Was it? Really? Jamila set down her fork, meeting his eyes across candlelight. No. There were nights I cried myself to sleep wishing you were there, wishing I could call and tell you about the ultrasound where I discovered 3 heartbeats, wishing you could feel them kick, come to appointments, help me choose names. You chose perfect names. You would have hated Jordan initially. I almost named him Harrison after your grandfather, but I thought that might be too presumptuous given everything. Benjamin's expression softened. I would have loved Harrison, but Jordan suits him. They all suit their names perfectly. They do. Jamila smiled, thinking of her 3 children asleep. Maya came out screaming, announcing her presence. The nurse said, "This one's a Maya, already on my list." And it just fit. Jordan was born reaching for things, always grasping, always in motion. Elijah was so quiet, so observant. The name means, "The Lord is my God." And I needed that reminder that we'd been given a miracle I didn't deserve. You deserved it. You deserved everything. Benjamin reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of hers. And I'm sorry, so fucking sorry, that you had to go through it without me, that my own stupidity and weakness cost us both so much. You didn't know. Jamila looked at his hand, inches from hers, wanting to close the distance and terrified of what that would mean. You made choices based on the information you had. We both did. Doesn't make the regret any less. No, it doesn't. They finished their meal talking about safer topics. Children's preschool progress, Elijah's reading, Maya's theatrical tendencies, Jordan's fearless climbing. But underneath, Jamila felt the pull, that magnetic attraction that had drawn them together 7 years ago and apparently hadn't diminished. When the check came, Benjamin paid over her protests. "Let me do this. One dinner where I get to take care of you." They walked out into cool October evening, and Jamila realized she didn't want the night to end. Didn't want to get in her car and drive home and return to reality where Benjamin was her ex-husband and co-parent and nothing more. "Walk with me?" Benjamin asked, gesturing to the small park across the street, "just for a few minutes?" She should say no. Should get in her car, go home, maintain boundaries. Instead, okay, for a few minutes. The park was quiet this time of night, illuminated by old-fashioned street lamps casting pools of golden light. They walked side by side, not quite touching, following a path through autumn bare trees. "I've been thinking about what you said," Benjamin broke the silence. "About us being different people now. You're right, we are. But Jamila, some things haven't changed. The way I feel when I look at you, the way my whole world shifts when you smile, the way being near you feels like—" "Benjamin." She stopped walking, turning to face him. Don't. Don't what? Don't admit that I still... Don't complicate this more than it already is. Jamila's voice was almost pleading. We're doing well. The co-parenting is working. The children are adjusting beautifully. If we try to be something more and it fails again, it won't just hurt us. It'll hurt them. And if it doesn't fail? Benjamin stepped closer, voice dropping to that intimate register that made her skin prickle. What if we're different enough now that we could actually make it work? That's a huge gamble. One I'm not sure I'm willing to take. Even if the potential reward is worth the risk? Jamila closed her eyes, feeling the pull of him like gravity. You're not hearing me. I can't risk them. I can't risk their stability, their security, their well-being on the possibility that we might recapture what we had 7 years ago. I'm not asking you to risk them. Benjamin's hand came up to cup her face, and she opened her eyes to find him achingly close. I'm asking if you're willing to risk yourself, to consider the possibility that maybe we could build something new, not recapture the past, but create a different future. I don't know. The admission felt like surrender. I don't know if I'm brave enough for that. You're the bravest person I know. You built a business and raised triplets alone and created stability from chaos. If you can do all that, you can... She kissed him to stop the words. Or maybe she kissed him because she'd been wanting to since he walked into her hotel lobby. Or maybe she kissed him because standing in a dark park with his hand on her face and his eyes full of possibility, she simply couldn't resist anymore. For a heartbeat, Benjamin froze in surprise. Then he responded, his other hand coming up to frame her face, his mouth moving against hers with remembered familiarity and new urgency. It was like falling into memory and discovery simultaneously, knowing exactly how he tasted while marveling that he tasted even better than remembered. Jamila's hands fisted in his sweater, pulling him closer, and Benjamin made a sound low in his throat that she felt to her toes. The kiss deepened, years of denial and suppressed longing pouring into the connection, until Jamila couldn't remember why she thought this was a bad idea. They broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together, neither willing to step back. Jamila. Her name was a prayer and a question. This doesn't change anything, she whispered, but the lie was obvious even to her. It changes everything. Benjamin's thumb traced her cheekbone. And you know it. She did know it. The moment their lips touched, careful boundaries had incinerated. There was no going back to purely co-parenting, no pretending chemistry was dead, no hiding behind lawyers and custody arrangements. I have to go. She forced herself to step back, out of his arms, into cold air that did nothing to cool her overheated skin. Rachel's waiting. The kids will wake early. Jamila. I need time, Benjamin, to think, to figure out what this means. She wrapped her arms around herself, poor substitute for his embrace. We can't just jump into something because of chemistry and shared children. We need to be smart. Being smart hasn't gotten us very far. But Benjamin didn't push, just stood there looking at her with an expression that made her heart ache. Take your time and think. But Jamila, know this. I'm done pretending I don't want you. Done acting like we're just co-parents when every time I see you, all I can think about is... He stopped himself. Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready to talk about this. Really talk about it. She walked back to her car on unsteady legs, hyper-aware of Benjamin following at careful distance. When she reached her vehicle, he opened the door for her, such a small gesture, so achingly familiar, and she climbed in without trusting herself to speak. Drive safe, he said, exactly as he had after the preschool party. This time, she couldn't respond, just started the engine and pulled away, watching in the rearview mirror as Benjamin stood under a street lamp, hands in pockets, watching her disappear into night. By the time she got home, her hands had stopped shaking. Mostly. Rachel took one look at her face and said, So, that was more than a business dinner. I kissed him. Jamila sank onto the couch. Or he kissed me. Or we kissed each other. I don't even know who started it. And it was exactly like I remembered and completely different and terrifying. And, Rachel, I can't do this. I can't fall for him again. It almost destroyed me the first time. Rachel sat beside her, taking her hand. Or maybe you can do this precisely because it almost destroyed you the first time. You know the pitfalls now. You know what to avoid. what to fight for, how to protect yourself and the kids. He's getting divorced. I know. He texted earlier to make sure I'd seen the legal notice. Apparently protocol about notifying people who might be affected by custody arrangements. Rachel squeezed Jamila's hand. For what it's worth, I think he's doing this for the right reasons. Not to pursue you, but because staying married would be a lie. That's what he said. And do you believe him? Jamila thought about Benjamin's voice when he talked about his marriage, the regret and honesty and lack of bitterness. Yes, I believe him, which somehow makes it more complicated, not less. Life is complicated, Mila. Love is complicated. But the question isn't whether it's complicated, it's whether it's worth it. I don't know yet. Jamila stood, suddenly exhausted. I need to sleep. Think. Figure out what I'm even feeling before making any decisions. Fair enough. Rachel stood too, gathering her things. But Mila, for what it's worth, I saw him with those kids today. I watched the way he looked at you when you weren't looking. And I think maybe this could be something real. If you're brave enough to try. After Rachel left, Jamila checked on her sleeping children. Elijah sprawled across his bed, Maya clutching her favorite stuffed bunny, Jordan somehow upside down with feet on pillow. These 3 lives depended on her making good choices. Could she risk that stability for the chance at something more? She didn't have an answer. Not yet. But as she climbed into bed, the taste of Benjamin still on her lips and the memory of his hands on her face, Jamila admitted one truth. She wanted to. Chapter 3. The kiss changed everything and nothing. Outwardly, co-parenting routine continued. Saturday visits, occasional weeknight phone calls where Benjamin talked to the children, coordination through texts. But underneath, tension hummed, unspoken, undeniable, building with every shared glance and careful non-touch. 3 weeks after the kiss, Benjamin showed up at Jamila's house unannounced on a Wednesday evening. She answered the door, in yoga pants and an old college sweatshirt, hair in a messy bun, and found him on her porch holding a manila folder. I'm sorry for not calling first, he said, but I needed to talk to you, and if I called, I was afraid you'd find an excuse to avoid me. I'm not avoiding you. His raised eyebrow called her on the lie. Can I come in? Jamila hesitated, then stepped aside. The children were already in bed, almost 9 o'clock, so at least they'd have privacy. She led him to the kitchen, offered coffee he accepted, and they sat across from each other at her small breakfast table. What's in the folder? She asked. The custody agreement Patricia drafted. My attorney reviewed it, made notes. I wanted to discuss it directly before responding through legal channels. Business. This was a business conversation. Jamila relaxed fractionally. Okay, what are his concerns? That the timeline for unsupervised visits is too vague, that holiday arrangements need specificity, that financial contributions should be formalized. Benjamin opened the folder, but instead of pulling out documents, he looked at her. But honestly, I don't give a damn about what my lawyer thinks. I want to know what you think, how you see this working, what you need to feel comfortable giving me more time with our children. The direct approach disarmed her. I think supervised visits are going well. The children are comfortable, asking for you between visits. I think we could start some unsupervised time, maybe a few hours on a weekday after preschool, building toward a full day. And overnights? The word still made her chest tighten. Eventually. Maybe after Christmas? Give them another 2 months to solidify the relationship, then weekend overnights at your place. Your place? Benjamin leaned forward. Jamila, I'm renting a temporary apartment while the divorce finalizes, and I look for a permanent home. I was thinking, what if we found a house together? Not to live in together, he added quickly at her expression, but a house with space for all 4 children. Somewhere I could have them that you'd feel comfortable with. 4 children? Isabel is part of this equation too. Once my divorce finalizes, I'll have her on weekends. I was thinking, hoping, maybe the children could meet her, under controlled circumstances, both you and Vanessa present. Jamila's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips, meeting Vanessa, exposing her children to Benjamin's other child, tangible evidence of his relationship with the woman he'd left her for. Every protective instinct reared up in refusal. But Benjamin was right. The children had a half-sister. Eventually, they'd need to know her, better now, while young and adaptable. Okay, she said slowly, but I choose location and time. Somewhere public, child-friendly. An hour maximum for first meeting. Thank you. Relief flooded Benjamin's face. I know this isn't easy. I know meeting Vanessa, acknowledging Isabel. It's asking a lot. She's innocent in all this. Isabel didn't ask to be born into complicated circumstances. Jamila set down her coffee. When's your divorce final? Another month, maybe 6 weeks. Vanessa's attorney is dragging out asset division, but we're close to settlement. Benjamin paused. She wants to meet you. Before the children meet Isabel. She says she needs to put a face to the woman who... He stopped. Who what? Destroyed her marriage? Kept her husband's secret children from him? I'm sure she has plenty of colorful descriptions. She's angry, Benjamin acknowledged, but also rational enough to know you and I will be in each other's lives permanently. She wants to meet you on neutral ground, establish some kind of understanding. An understanding that I'm not trying to steal you back. Something like that. Benjamin's mouth twisted wryly. Though I tried to explain that no one's stealing anyone, that what happens between us is our decision, not hers. What did she say to that? That I'm delusional if I think you'd ever trust me again after what I did. The blunt honesty made Jamila blink. She might be right. Is she? Benjamin's eyes locked on hers, intense and searching. Jamila, we kissed 3 weeks ago, and you've barely looked at me since. I'm trying to give you space, trying to be patient, but I need to know, was that kiss just a moment of weakness? Or was it something more? There it was. The conversation they'd been avoiding laid bare in her kitchen at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night. I don't know, she admitted. Benjamin, I've spent 4 years building a life without you, building walls to protect myself and the children. That kiss cracked those walls, and I'm terrified of what comes flooding in if they collapse completely. What if what comes flooding in is good? What if it's exactly what we both need? And what if it's not? What if we try again and fail again, and this time it doesn't just destroy us, it destroys them? She gestured toward the second floor where their children slept. They're bonding with you. They love you. If we get together and then fall apart, they lose their father in an entirely different way. We won't fall apart. Benjamin reached across the table, and this time Jamila let him take her hand. We're different people now. I've been humbled by discovering the children, by my second marriage's implosion, by watching you be an incredible mother while running a successful business. I'm not the arrogant man who took you for granted. And you're not the desperate woman who'd sacrifice everything for a baby. We've both grown. Growth doesn't guarantee compatibility. No, but chemistry and shared children and still being able to make each other laugh, that's a pretty good start. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm not even asking you to call this dating. I'm just asking, can we explore this? Carefully, with children's well-being as priority, but explore the possibility that maybe we could be something more than co-parents. Every rational argument against this plan lined up in Jamila's mind. The risks, the complications, the potential for disaster. But underneath rationality, her heart was screaming yes. I need ground. Rules, she said finally, and watched hope flare in Benjamin's eyes. The children come first always. We move slowly. No sleepovers with them around, no sudden changes to their routine. We keep it private until we're sure it's real. And Benjamin, she squeezed his hand, if this starts to go wrong, if we realize it's not working, we have to be adult enough to walk away before we damage them. Agreed? Agreed. Benjamin raised her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that made her shiver. When can I take you out again? Properly, as a date, not disguised as co-parenting discussion. Friday night. Rachel can watch the kids. Jamila pulled her hand back gently, needing distance to think clearly. But Benjamin, I mean it about slow. I can't just jump back into intimacy and trust like the last 4 years didn't happen. I know, I'm not asking you to. He stood, gathering his folder. Friday night. I'll pick you up at 7. She walked him to the door, hyper-aware of his proximity in her narrow hallway. When he turned to say goodbye, they were close enough that she could see gold flecks in his green eyes, could smell familiar cologne. Thank you, he said softly. for giving us a chance. I won't waste it." "You better not," she warned, but couldn't help the small smile. Benjamin leaned in slowly, giving her time to retreat. When she didn't, he kissed her, soft and brief and full of promise. "Friday," he murmured against her lips. "Friday," she confirmed. After he left, Jamila stood in her foyer for a long moment, fingers pressed to her lips. She'd agreed to date Benjamin, explore a relationship, open herself to being hurt again. Rachel's voice echoed, "If you're brave enough to try." She'd built a business from nothing, raised triplets alone, survived pregnancy complications and financial stress and single parenthood loneliness. Surely she was brave enough for this. The next 6 weeks were careful dance of integration and discovery. Benjamin and Jamila dated, actual dates with kissing and hand-holding and growing intimacy. They kept it quiet from the children initially, meeting for dinners after bedtime, stolen hours where they could be just Jamila and Benjamin instead of mom and dad. Simultaneously, Benjamin's presence in the triplets' lives expanded. Unsupervised visits began, a few hours after preschool that progressed to full Saturdays. He took them to his temporary apartment, child-proofed and filled with toys and books. They met Vanessa and Isabel at a neutral playground, and while awkward initially, the children adapted with remarkable ease. Isabel was 6 months old, chubby and smiley, and the triplets were fascinated by their baby sister. Vanessa was stiff but civil, her eyes lingering on Jamila with complicated emotions, resentment, curiosity, grudging respect. "You did a good job with them," Vanessa said during their second supervised meeting, watching the triplets play gently with Isabel. They're kind children. That's you, not genetics." "Thank you." Jamila watched Benjamin push Maya on a swing. "How are you holding up?" "I'm furious and devastated and relieved all at once." Vanessa's laugh was bitter. "Furious that you kept this secret, devastated that my marriage is over, relieved that I don't have to pretend anymore that I trapped a man who never loved me." "He loves Isabel." "I know. That's the only reason I'm being civil instead of destroying him in divorce court." Vanessa turned to face Jamila fully. "Are you sleeping with him?" The blunt question made Jamila blink. "That's none of your business." "It is if you're going to be around my daughter. I need to know if you're serious or if this is just nostalgia and convenience." Jamila considered the question honestly. "I don't know yet what we are. We're taking it slow, figuring things out. But Vanessa, whatever happens between Benjamin and me, I would never let it affect how I treat Isabel. She's an innocent child who deserves love and stability." "Then we understand each other." Vanessa looked back at the children. "For what it's worth, I hope you make him happy. God knows I couldn't." The conversation stayed with Jamila. She and Benjamin hadn't slept together, hadn't progressed beyond heated kisses and careful touches. They were both holding back, knowing that crossing that line would fundamentally shift their relationship. 7 weeks after that first post-divorce dinner, Benjamin invited Jamila to see the house he'd found. A spacious property with 5 bedrooms, a big backyard, and room for all 4 children. They toured it on a weekday afternoon while the triplets were at preschool, and Isabel with Vanessa. "What do you think?" Benjamin asked as they stood in what would be the children's playroom. "It's perfect. Space for everyone, close to good schools, big yard for Jordan to run in." Jamila could picture her children here, happy and safe and loved. "I was thinking," Benjamin moved closer, nervous energy radiating. "What if you helped me decorate, the kids' rooms especially? You know what they like, what would make them feel comfortable. You want me to help you create a space for our children? I want to create a space they love, a space that feels like home, not just Dad's house." Benjamin reached for her hand. "And Jamila, I need to tell you something." "Okay." "These last 7 weeks, getting to know you again, watching you with the children, spending time together, it's been the best weeks of my life since before our marriage fell apart. Maybe better, because we're different now. Better now." He cupped her face gently. "I love you. I'm in love with you. And I know it's too soon to say that, but I need you to know where I stand." Jamila's heart hammered. "Benjamin, you don't have to say it back. I know you need more time, more proof that this is real. I just need you to know that for me, this isn't exploration or convenience or nostalgia. This is me, falling in love with the woman you've become, and realizing I never really stopped loving the woman you were. She kissed him then, not to stop words, but because she couldn't not kiss him. Because standing in an empty house that would hold their children, listening to him confess love she wasn't sure she was brave enough to return, she needed the physical connection. The kiss was different from their careful, controlled ones of recent weeks. This was hungry, desperate, full of 7 weeks of restraint breaking. Benjamin's hand slid into her hair, and Jamila pressed closer, feeling the hard planes of his body against hers. "Jamila," he murmured against her mouth, we should stop. Before what?" She pulled back just enough to look at him. "Before we admit we want this? Before we stop pretending we can keep this slow and controlled? Before I forget we're in an empty house in the middle of the afternoon, and I have a meeting in an hour?" But his hands hadn't left her, were tracing her spine in ways that made her shiver. "Then we stop." But she didn't move. "Benjamin, I'm not ready to go home with you tonight or wake up in your bed. But I'm also tired of pretending I don't want to. So what do? We keep doing what we're doing. Dating, building trust, letting this develop naturally. And when it's time, when we're both ready and the kids are settled and it feels right, we take that next step." She kissed him again, softer. "But until then, we acknowledge we want each other. No more pretending." "No more pretending," Benjamin agreed, pulling her close for one more kiss before they forced themselves apart. 2 weeks later, on a Friday night when Benjamin had the triplets for their first overnight stay, and Rachel had offered to take them to her place to give the new arrangement a trial run, Jamila found herself at Benjamin's newly purchased house. They'd planned it carefully. Benjamin would do dinner and bedtime routine with the children at Rachel's, giving them consistency of familiar adult while trying overnight away from mom. Meanwhile, Jamila would be at Benjamin's house, ostensibly helping him finish setting up the kids' rooms. Except when she arrived, the kids' rooms were already complete, painted in colors they'd chosen, filled with toys and books and familiar items Benjamin had slowly been accumulating. The house looked lived in, loved, ready. "You didn't need my help," Jamila said, finding Benjamin in the kitchen pouring wine. "I lied." He offered her a glass, eyes dark and intense. "I needed you here, alone, without kids as buffer or time constraints or interruptions. He set down his glass and crossed to her. "I needed to ask if you're ready." "Ready for what?" "For this, for us, for taking the next step." His hands framed her face. "Jamila, I love you. I'm in love with you. And I hope you feel the same. But if you don't, if you need more time, tell me now. Because if you stay, tonight, if we cross this line, I'm all in, completely committed. No more slow, no more careful, just us, building something real." Jamila set down her wine with trembling hands. "I'm terrified. I know. What if we're wrong? What if this is just chemistry and nostalgia? What if we hurt each other again? Then we hurt each other. But Jamila, what if we're right? What if this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing? Finding our way back to each other, building something better than what we had before?" She looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd discovered he had children and immediately committed to knowing them. Who'd ended his marriage to Vanessa not for Jamila, but for honesty. Who'd been patient through weeks of supervised visits and careful courtship. Who'd proven through consistent action that he'd changed, grown, become someone worthy of trust. "I love you too," she whispered. "I didn't want to. I fought it. But Benjamin, I love you." His kiss was answer and question and promise all at once. Jamila melted into him, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Benjamin took her hand. "Come upstairs with me." It wasn't a demand. It was an invitation Jamila was finally brave enough to accept. His bedroom was masculine but welcoming. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, a king-size bed that looked ridiculously inviting. Benjamin turned to face her, and Jamila saw vulnerability alongside desire. "We don't have to," he started, but she stopped him with a finger on his lips. "I want to. I'm choosing this, choosing you, choosing us," she smiled, nervous but certain. "Make love to me, Benjamin." The first touch was electric, his hands sliding under her sweater, her fingers working his belt. They undressed each other slowly, relearning bodies changed by time and circumstance. Benjamin traced the stretch marks on her abdomen with reverent fingers. "These gave me my children," he murmured. "Beautiful." Jamila explored the broader shoulders, the silver threading his chest hair, the ways 4 years had marked him. "You're different. So are you. Better." He guided her to the bed and they tumbled onto soft sheets together. Their lovemaking was slow exploration mixed with urgent need. Bodies remembered rhythms while discovering new preferences. Benjamin knew exactly how to touch her, where to kiss, what made her gasp. Jamila rediscovered the sounds he made, the way his control slipped, how he whispered her name like prayer. "I missed you," he murmured against her neck, moving inside her with deliberate care. "Missed this. Missed us." "I missed you too." Jamila wrapped her legs around him, pulling him deeper. "Don't stop. Never." His rhythm increased and she met him thrust for thrust, years of longing and denial pouring into physical connection. When she came, it was with his name on her lips and his arms around her. He followed moments later, face buried in her neck, body shuddering. Afterward, tangled in sheets in each other, reality intruded gently. Benjamin pressed kisses to her shoulder. "Stay tonight. The kids are with Rachel until tomorrow afternoon. Stay with me. Let me wake up next to you. Let us have this." Jamila considered. The children were safe, happy, well cared for. She and Benjamin were adults choosing each other. There was no reason to run except habit. "Okay," she said, "I'll stay." They made love again in the night, slower, sweeter, without the desperate edge of first reunion. They talked in the dark about hopes and fears and the future they were building. They dozed and woke and reached for each other again, making up for lost time and celebrating new beginning. When morning came, they made breakfast together in Benjamin's kitchen, comfortable domesticity that felt both foreign and right. Jamila wore his shirt and Benjamin couldn't stop touching her, a hand on her waist, fingers in her hair, kisses pressed to her temple. "I love you," he said for the dozenth time since she'd first said it back. "I love you too." And saying it was getting easier each time. "But Benjamin, we need to talk about what happens now, how we move forward with the kids. We tell them the truth, that mommy and daddy love each other, that we're going to be a family again, different than before, but together. It's going to be complicated. Integrating households, managing custody with Isabel, dealing with Vanessa, explaining to 3 4-year-olds what's happening. Everything about us is complicated." Benjamin pulled her close. "But Jamila, we've proven we can handle complicated. We can co-parent successfully. We can fall back in love. We can build something new from the ashes of what we destroyed. So yes, it'll be messy and difficult, but we'll figure it out. Together? Together. Always." Their fairy tale lasted 3 weeks. Then Vanessa's attorney filed an emergency motion claiming Benjamin was exposing Isabel to an unstable environment. The motion cited Benjamin's rekindled relationship with Jamila, the presence of illegitimate children in Isabel's life, and claimed Vanessa should have primary custody to protect their daughter from moral confusion. The motion was petty, vindictive, and legally weak, but it was also terrifying. Benjamin immediately hired a family law specialist, and they prepared for court. The night before the hearing, Benjamin showed up at Jamila's house at midnight. She answered the door in pajamas, took one look at his face, and pulled him inside. "She's trying to take Isabel," he said without preamble. "She's claiming I'm unfit because I'm in a relationship with you, because I'm exposing her to the triplets, because I'm—" His voice broke. "I could lose my daughter, Jamila." "You won't. The motion is nonsense. Your attorney said so." "But what if he's wrong? What if the judge agrees that bringing the triplets into Isabel's life is disruptive? What if they decide you're a negative influence? Then we fight." Jamila took his face in her hands. "We fight for your right to see your daughter. We fight for our family. We fight for the children who deserve to know their siblings and their father." "I'm scared." The admission cost him. "I'm terrified that my mistakes, my affair with Vanessa, my failed second marriage, my messy personal life will cost me everything." "You're not going to lose everything. You're not going to lose me or the triplets or Isabel. We're in this together." She kissed him fiercely. "Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together." Benjamin pulled her close, and the embrace became desperate. Jamila felt his fear and answered with her own fierce determination. When he kissed her, she tasted panic and need and love all mixed together. They tumbled to her couch, inappropriate with children asleep upstairs, probably unwise given the morning's court appearance, but neither could stop. They needed this connection, this physical reassurance that they were solid, united, unbreakable. Their lovemaking was urgent, almost rough. Benjamin seeking reassurance in her body, Jamila giving everything she had to prove they'd survive this. Afterward, they lay tangled on her couch, breathing hard. "I can't lose you again," Benjamin whispered. "I can't lose any of you. You won't, I promise. We're a family now. Me, you, Elijah, Maya, Jordan, and Isabel. Vanessa can't break that." The next morning, they walked into court together. Vanessa's attorney presented his case, photos of Benjamin and Jamila together, statements from witnesses about the children's confusing family situation, implications that Jamila was a homewrecker who destroyed 2 marriages. Benjamin's attorney countered brilliantly, presenting evidence of Vanessa's manipulation, her admission of stopping birth control without consent, testimony about Benjamin's exemplary parenting of all 4 children, statements from teachers and pediatricians about the children's well-being. The judge listened to everything, then delivered his ruling. Vanessa's motion was denied. Benjamin would retain his custody arrangement with Isabel. The relationship with Jamila was irrelevant to his fitness as father. Case dismissed. They left court victorious, but shaken. In the parking lot, Benjamin pulled Jamila into his arms and held on like she was a lifeline. "We won," she murmured into his chest. "We won." He kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for standing with me, for fighting for us. Always. We're family." 2 years later, Jamila and Benjamin stood in the backyard of their home, watching their blended family play. The triplets were 6 now, Isabel was 3, and Jamila was 7 months pregnant with their surprise 5th child. Vanessa had moved on, found genuine love, co-parented Isabel healthily. The scandal was forgotten, replaced by reality of a complex, loving, beautifully imperfect blended family who chose each other again and again. "Happy?" Benjamin asked, pulling Jamila against his chest, his hands cradling her swollen belly. Deliriously, she leaned back into him. "You?" "More than I ever thought possible." He kissed her temple. "We did good, didn't we? Despite everything, we built something beautiful." "We did. We built a family." Jamila watched Elijah help Jordan build something elaborate while Maya performed for an audience of stuffed animals, and Isabel attempted to join every activity simultaneously. A complicated, chaotic, absolutely perfect family. I wouldn't change a thing. Me neither. Their 5th child, another daughter, would be born 8 weeks later in the same hospital where the triplets had fought to survive. They'd name her Hope, because that's what she represented. Hope renewed, love reclaimed, second chances proven real. The family Jamila had built alone had expanded into something bigger, richer, more complex than she could have imagined. And standing in their backyard with Benjamin's arms around her and their children's laughter filling the air, Jamila knew one thing with absolute certainty. Every risk had been worth it. Every hard conversation, every moment of vulnerability, every choice to be brave instead of safe, all worth it. Because this beautiful, complicated, perfectly imperfect life was exactly where she was meant to be.